Hey, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Tuesday night. January 7th, 2025 is the date. 10:26 p.m. here, California time. Latest earthquake here on the globe shows a 3.3 into the Puerto Rico area here, just outside the Puerto Rico region, around the Puerto Rico Trench. One of the latest earthquakes here. We'll go ahead and cover the West Coast out here first. I know we got some big fires going on out there in Southern California. It's something like we haven't seen in quite a few years. We'll cover that towards the end of this update video. As far as earthquake activity, got a little sequence of events up here across the Petrolia area. Some 2s and even a 1.9. Surprised to report in that, but fairly deep earthquake here, about 19 miles deep here into the southern end of the Cascadia. That's actually kind of an odd area to have a deeper quake. It looks like it's on the Pacific side of the plate boundary. But nonetheless, a little bit of elevated activity out here today with some 2s. And as I mentioned there, that 1-pointer. On that note, I do want to double check the tremor map out here tonight. See if we got anything elevated out here across the Cascadia. Just looks like about 8 epicenters here of tremor across the Cascadia subduction zone. It's very minimal. In fact, we've been on a decline here in the last couple weeks. But we're still seeing some elevated earthquake activity out here. We'll continue to watch that. The rest of Northern California here, aside from the Clear Lake volcanic field, which is almost always active in geothermal respect. There's a lot of earthquakes that take place out here on any given day because of the geothermal operations there. I cover that quite a bit here in these update videos. The rest of California here, one earthquake on the San Andreas Fault, a little 1.9. Nothing big going on down there in Southern California in terms of earthquake activity, but man, I feel for those folks down there that are having to deal with those extreme weather conditions and fire. Crazy. Wyoming up here, not associated with Yellowstone. That's outside of the Wyoming range here. Occasionally we get some earthquakes out there. In fact, I think we've seen a couple out here in a little sequence in the last 30 days near Little America. Very shallow crustal quakes coming in here at a negative depth. That means that it's just right at the surface level. Now that's a little odd. As far as what's out here, let's go ahead and take a peek and see what we got. Some type of facility out there in the middle of the desert of Wyoming. Not for sure exactly what that is. Maybe some I don't know. Looks like a little community here with some type of operations going on, some type of wastewater pond out there. I don't know what's going on out there. Maybe someone can help fill in the questionability here as what's going on, but it's a little odd. And that earthquake activity is really not associated with any faults. These may be geothermal plants out here. I don't know. Could be. But I don't really see anything that would lead me to believe that it's fault related. So it's a little odd earthquake activity. Yellowstone National Park, pretty quiet up there. We'll give a quick glance at the Yellowstone thumbnails here as we pull this up. And we'll check out the latest data here from the earthquake activity. There's a couple different earthquakes here registering on some of the seismograph stations. Now, that activity not necessarily showing up there on the USGS side of things. In fact, I don't see anything nearby that would tell me that this is, around the region. There's definitely some type of readings showing up here across Yellowstone that look like earthquake activity events. Now, whether this is activity occurring way underneath the area, I don't know. But it does look like it's some type of earthquake activity out here. Nothing localized up top there to the seismograph stations. These are either very deep earthquakes or something within the area outside of Yellowstone that's just not showing up here across the area. But I don't believe it's going to be these very weak earthquakes up in Montana. I don't see a 1-pointer showing up down there across Yellowstone. Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, some oil field operations out there getting hit with some earthquakes. That's very typical. unfortunately, but that's that's the future out there for the oil fields. A lot of earthquakes coming there. Eastern portion of the country, nothing going on there. There's some activity stirring up, as mentioned earlier, in the Puerto Rico region. The latest quake, a 3.3 east here, southeast of the San Juan, Puerto Rico area, about 4 miles here underneath the area of the Virgin Islands. Most of the activity today here has been across this area of the world. We've seen a number of interesting events out here. Seems like it all started off here with the Ethiopia rift boundary activity that stirred up for quite a while, and then we've seen that big 7-pointer up here across the Nepal area, which is right about here. You're still seeing a whole bunch of earthquake activity, a lot of aftershock sequences there in this region. Of course, that's very common to see that many aftershocks there following a 7-pointer. In fact, I'm really surprised we haven't seen maybe a 6-pointer or so following that 7-pointer. So far, the largest aftershock sequence here, it looks like it's going to be a 5.1. Ethiopia area, a couple more earthquakes here today across the rift boundary, including a 5.3. Still occurring roughly about 6 miles here underneath the area. Definitely got some interesting movement stirring up out here. Uncertain as to where it's leading to, but definitely watching it. Let me make sure this is the latest data here. This is the seismograph station there that's positioned outside of the rift boundary over here around this area. I'm not for sure exactly how to pronounce that, so I'm going to pass on that. But that's where the seismograph station is here that I'm showing you guys. And it is showing some earthquake activity out here. There's a couple, and even some smaller ones out there. So things still, well, actually it looks like it's picking up out here in the last 24 hours. Continue to keep an definitely an eye on it, because things have been quite active out here on a broad scale event. Whether it's leading to something bigger or not, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on it. Some movement down in the Indian Ocean there, a couple moderate earthquakes. Outside of Turkey here, looks like a 4.5 earthquake here. Looks like eastern Turkey, showing up on the USGS model. Anything major going on here across the Indonesia Islands area? Looks like typical movement, really nothing major. I mean, they're always seeing 4s and 5s out here on any given day across the crunch zone. Japan area, couple deep earthquakes here across the Izu Trench. Really no adjustment following that super deep earthquake activity that struck out here early this morning. Had 2 deep earthquakes, a 5.6 and a 5.3, well into the subduction zone of the Izu Trench. And normally we'll see elevated earthquake activity following these deeper type of events, but nothing showing up yet across the area. A little interesting, but we'll continue to watch that area as well. Alaska, obviously some 2s and 3s up there. It's a major subduction zone, but really nothing big going on. Big Island of Hawaii, a couple smaller quakes there. Let's go ahead and we'll jump in, see what's going on there across Kilauea Volcano. As we look at the webcams up there across the summit area, looks like, actually it looks like a little bit more activity here. Did we resume the eruption? A little bit of activity stirred up there around the crater wall there. Let's see what we got for the latest update, which was put out today, but this was early this morning here, way early. And I know it wasn't that active this morning, so it looks like maybe we're starting to get a little bit of outflow from that crater area. Tilt meter, deformation data here. Let's go ahead and check this out if it's going to let us. There we go. A little bit of up and down here in terms of inflation there across the summit area. Although since a pause in the eruption there back on the 4th, we've gone up. So this was when the eruption halted, and we're steadily going back up. So we'll probably see, we may be even seeing that right now on the webcam, a resume eruption status there across Kilauea volcano. Let's see here. New Zealand, anything happening down south here? Nothing showing up here on the earthquake 3D globe for now. Middle America Trench and the South America area, all typical. Very typical to see 4s and 3s on any given day out here. This is just, you know, if you watch these videos here, it may look like a lot of earthquake activity for the last 24 hours, but these are major subduction zones here. The Middle America Trench and the Peru-Chile Trench here. Very lengthy subduction zone there across South America. Always seen earthquake activity on any given day. Oh, what's happening up in Iceland? Looks like a whole lot of earthquake activity here out of the blue, including a 4-pointer. So let's go ahead and see what's happening up there. Looks like it's across the rift boundary. We're just off of it. So we'll go ahead and check out the... Let's see if I can find it here. I got so many book links here. Bookmarks. Book links. I call them book links. So it looks like maybe some area elevated activity here across this volcano region, away from the typical area that we've been seeing across Grindavik, which sits down here. But overall, Iceland looks a lot active here today. Over here across the west and over here across the main rift boundary. 4.0 coming in. No new status here across the Barabunga volcano. That's a pretty interesting earthquake. 4-pointer. Very shallow earthquake. And of course a number of other earthquakes are happening as well. So things starting to stir up out here. Looks like 2025 is the year of interesting events so far. We're only a week into 2025 and it's been crazy, let me tell you. So we'll continue to watch that there. And of course, the Ethiopia rift zone here. There's a lot happening right now. Just leading to something big, right? Obviously, whether it's an 8-pointer or a 9-pointer out here somewhere, things are getting quite active. Little C flare activity. Actually, it made it into the M flare event. It looks like earlier. Let's see. Actually, it looks like we're having a flare right now up into the M flare category. From sunspot number, let's see where that's coming from. Hard to tell because this data is behind about 15 minutes or so. But we are flaring a little bit. Notice the global D-layer absorption map. This basically tells us where some radio blackouts may happen during strong solar flares. And we're getting one right now. Not a super strong one, but it is looks like it's venturing up into the M flare category. We'll have to check back on that here in a little bit. No major aurors there in the forecast, folks. 3947 is still currently looking at us, dead square eye in the Earth-Sun plane. Little uncertain onto the complexity of it as far as the status goes, but it looks like it may be flaring right now. When was this taken here? 6/06/16. Yeah, it's hard to say. We'll definitely check back on that here in a minute. Weather outlook out here. Oh, what? Whoa. What just happened right there? That's a little weird. Weather outlook in terms of severe weather, convective outlook, as far as thunderstorm activity goes, nothing really major in the forecast there for now. If we look at the numerical model, a lot of folks wondering why we're getting some extreme winds down there in Southern California, where there's a developing low pressure system here, southwestern Arizona. And of course, when you have low pressure down here, high pressure up here, you get the pressure differences, and that creates some strong winds between the two systems. And that's why we're seeing that large wind event down there in Southern California right now. This low pressure system is going to be responsible for some potential snow out around Texas area as we put this in motion here. This is the GFS model. If it's going to snow, it's probably going to be a lot here. So if it doesn't snow, then it's just going to be a lot of cold rain. But there's a little bit of potential here to see some significant snowfall event there across northern Texas. Dallas-Fort Worth area maybe. Severe weather maybe south here. We'll have to keep an eye on that. After that, that system shifts further to the east. Cold air back behind it. And it's, wow, look at that. A little interesting there, development there from the Gulf of Mexico. Some moisture funneling in there to Texas. And California, man, I'm telling you, I'm a little concerned here for our winter, our wet winter. It's supposed to have a wet winter. I mean, it's started off pretty nice there in December. We had a significant rainfall amount there across Northern California and the West Coast. But January looks awfully dry, and it's a little uncertain on if we're going to see any precipitation there. These models could easily change. All right, that sea flare. Yeah, did we peak out? Yeah, it looks like we did. Just barely into the M-flare category. And, it's possible that came from 3947 up here. Really not seeing anything that maybe shows otherwise. All right, let's go ahead and check out the weather conditions down there in Southern California. I think by now most folks understanding and realizing a major catastrophe going on across the Southern California area, Los Angeles area specifically, with some big time fires starting off. And I kind of talked about this. I mentioned here in the last couple of videos here that if something was going to take off, it's going to be big. There's no stopping it. And unfortunately, we've had a number of fires out here. Winds right now out across the area north of Los Angeles here, 61 miles per hour. And of course, got to remember around these fires, they're probably creating some higher winds. They pretty much create their own weather. Down here across this area where we're currently seeing a big fire outside of Malibu, there's some strong winds down there as well, 41 mile per hour gusts. So this is no joke. This is one of the more severe fire weather events that they've seen in quite a long time. And I think they've seen 70, 80 mile per hour winds here tonight. Potentially could be stronger. And that's unfortunately bad news for the firefighters and the folks down there that live in the area. After you get through the day there on Wednesday, tomorrow, things tend to calm down a little bit. But let's go ahead and check out the current fire information out here. And it's not a good one, folks. There's some big time fires out there. We got this area outside of Malibu here in some very high class areas, big time rich homes out there. Very nice homes. Something I could never ever afford. But unfortunately, this fire right here, which started up earlier, I'm sure that's higher right now, almost 3,000 acres. This was earlier. We're probably maybe 4,000 or so. Fire perimeter here in the red. A lot of homes missed, but man, there's some scary videos floating around on social media of people filming outside their front house and showing the neighbors' homes on fire. Not good. This is all moving. If you look at the wind speed here, let me see if I can pull up the surface wind. You can see that it's generally meeting the ocean out here, but there's obviously concern here that we could extend over to the Malibu area where they already had a fire. And I was just out here a couple months ago down there across Malibu Beach. Pretty crazy. Me and Miss Mimi's were taking some back roads out here across the area, and we're like, wow, look how densely populated the vegetation is. I mean, there's no clearance. Everything is super dense, and it was super dry then. I can only imagine what it's like now. So this is very dry fuel, and the winds are going to increase tonight. So there's obviously concern. Mandatory evacuations out here as well. And that is on this fire, the Palisades fire, it looks like. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Unfortunately, there was another fire that started over here, the Eaton fire outside of Pasadena. This is a big one, starting to be a big one as well. And unfortunately, the wind blowing right into the Los Angeles, Pasadena area. A lot of homes, highly densely populated homes out there. And this is at 400 acres. It's almost a worst case scenario out here if you really think about it. There's no fire perimeter being popped up here yet, but that's a big one too. There's a number of webcams out there that you can check from the it's called alertcalifornia.org. And if you zoom out, obviously it's going to show all the webcams there within the zoom view. If you zoom in here to this area, it will focus more on the area of interest. And of course, man, look at some of these images here, folks, of these web cameras up there. These are PG&E web cameras. Man, it almost looks like the world is ending out there. Go back and check the last hour of activity. You can watch this progress. It's pretty crazy. It looks like quite a few homes burnt down there across that area where this webcam was featured. Hasn't killed the webcam yet. Here's another image. We'll show the last hour here of activity. It just goes to show you how quickly the fire can progress out here and overtake the land when it's so dry. Southern California has seen one of its driest winters on record. Wintertime out here, we're supposed to have some rain out there in Southern California. Most of it has been north, Stockton northward. So it's it's very unfortunate, and it has the potential to get worse overnight. So I hope everyone stays safe down there. It's not good. Definitely not good. So I'll be hoping that things change down there. But the wind is expected to pick up tonight across the area. All right, I wanted to see where that flare is coming from. Man, it's not showing me here. I'm guessing it's probably from 3947 here, the sunspot area. Nothing big, just a little upper C flare it looks like. But aside from that, folks, let me see anything else going on here for earthquake activity. Seismograph station's awfully quiet right now across the area. Again, a lot of big time events going on out here. A bunch of fours, elevated activity all across this area of the globe. That's a 5-pointer early this morning. Hard to say exactly what's going to be hit next. There's just so much potential out here. These deeper earthquakes there along the Izu Trench, though, makes me think that this area out here across this region could see some larger activity. A lot of strain being built up, and has been for quite a while across this area. All right, folks, I'm going to call it night. We'll catch you guys back out here in the morning. Stay safe out there, no matter where you're at. And we'll see you guys back out here after a few hours of sleep here, hopefully.